Now, obviously, you guys, the image, the videos, it was MTV was a huge part of that era when you came through and you broke again in America, big style, didn't you? And like we said, the videos are very famous now. Did you have much involvement in the concept of those, and the writing of those, or the creating of those?
They were my ideas.
There you go.
You know, I came, so Atlantic Records, who had rejected us so many times, you know, and it took Phil Carson, who's my manager today. He was the head of Atlantic Records Europe, the man. He had signed ABBA, AC/DC, Genesis. You know, I mean, he just,
he knows what he's doing. Yeah.
Yeah. He signed a few bands, and it took his weight to challenge the president of Atlantic Records, Doug Morris, who said, "It's on your head, Phil." Wow. When Phil said, "I'm signing the band," and he said, it's on your head. He says, "On my head, like ABBA, AC/DC, Genesis." Yes. And he went down the list. He said, "Sure. Okay. It's on my head." And ultimately he was proven correct. But when we came back to the United States, well, I won't get into the whole backstory, but they decided, okay, you can't stop rock and roll, despite lack of support in America, went on to go gold. And so they said they sort of had no choice but to support us. And it was the early days of MTV, and they brought in a video director, his first time video director, but he had done concert video, Marty Callner, who went on to become one of the biggest rock video guys in the 80s, and who I'm still friends with today, by the way. One of the few business friends I have. And Marty came in, and he was cool enough and smart enough to see a young gun who was passionate, and he said, "What do you see for this video?" And I told him, I said, "Dad's yelling at the son turns into me, drags the father down the stairs." He said, "Oh, hold it. Let's start writing this down." And he and I constructed the We're Not Gonna Take It video, They Want a Rock video, and, you know, and which went on to be historic videos. But yeah, it came from my crazy mind because I saw the possibility in video in the earliest stages, and people weren't really doing this sort of a passion play thing where you had the whole acted thing up front first. Matter of fact, the first thing, Les Garland from MTV, he was very upset with our video. He said, "This isn't a rock video, this is method acting," and he clipped off the whole front and started with the father walking in the bedroom, and never let that video out of medium rotation because and yet it went on to become this huge phenomenon that other bands like Van Halen, like Motley Crue, everybody started imitating the style, Twisted Sister style of storytelling, a little mini passion play videos.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. And you mentioned "I Wanna Rock." I mean, it's a song that transcends popular culture, from the metalheads to the young kids that watch SpongeBob SquarePants. I mean, it really does. Everybody knows it. My 10-year-old knows it, and he sings it. He loves it. But take me back to the concept of that song. Then, I mean, what do you remember about working on it in the studio and getting it down and getting it on tape? And what did you think when you did have it recorded and sealed? I mean, what did you think? This is it. This is going to be big.
I've been blessed that I have a faucet of creativity that I turn on and off as needed. So when I go to write a book like Frats, it's a novel, it's available, and I just go in that zone and turn on that faucet and start creating. When I go to write a screenplay, I start creating. I've written musicals, I start creating. And when I write songs, I usually work off of I don't write anymore, song-wise, that is. I used to keep a list of song titles for inspiration. And I would have my song titles, and I would get my tape recorder, handheld usually, and I would just look at a song title and get inspiration from the title. That Twisted Sisters, We're Not Gonna Take It, Stay Hungry album, our biggest selling album, I wrote in 45 minutes, essentially wrote the entire record. My wife was going out to this. My son was asleep in the crib. My wife went out to go to the grocery store, and I said, "Okay, I got a few minutes. Let me turn on. Wouldn't say turn on the faucet. I look at it now like that, and work on some song ideas." Put a bunch of ideas on tape, and they're like these are little bits and pieces, but usually the whole song, but not every word. And when she came back after 45 minutes, she said, "How's it going?" I said, "I think I got some good ideas for the new record." And every song from Stay Hungry was on there, except The Price. which I had written in Jimmy Page's bathroom while we were recording You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. But that's another story. So I Want to Rock was in there, and We're Not Going to Take It was in there. Those two songs. And I knew that these were hits. Now, I Want to Rock, I'd become, like anything, people, was talking about writing songs for the band from the early days. JJ manages Twisted Sister now. He's constantly with a Tupac Shakur of heavy metal. He keeps coming up with new albums to put out. I'm going, oh my God, where do you find that tape and this tape? And I listen back on some of my early songs. I go, oh, no wonder we didn't get a record deal. Those were terrible, terrible songs, But now, at this point, I put in my time and I was getting pretty good at crafting. And I got in my mind that this is 1983. I'm writing for Stay Hungry album, or 82, whatever, because I always wrote it ahead of time. I got in my mind that if I could combine the Iron Maiden Gallop with an anthem, with an anthemic sing-along song, and Slade is my inspiration when it comes to anthemic songs. But if I could combine that metallic, that Maiden, so I remember with I Want to Rock sitting there going, doing the Maiden Gallop, and then and all of a sudden I just was off the races, and I got to the end of that, and I stopped the recorder for a second to move on to the next song idea, and I go, well, I think that was pretty good, and then I keep moving. Later on, I'd go through maybe 25, 30 ideas that I had recorded in the 45 minutes and sift through, narrow it down to 15, 20, and then the band, we demo those, and then the band would vote on which 10 they like best. The band and the crew and management, everybody would vote. And I Want to Rock was in that batch. But it was actually like I told Clive Burr when he was in Desperado with me, I said, dude, I got to be honest, man. I Want to Rock. I said, that was your groove, man. It was the Clive Burr Gallop, which Patton applied for, baby. He created that sort of feel. Him and Steve for Iron Maiden. That defined the band.